As a preliminary matter, this is Brian Sullivan, the Chair of the Affordable Housing Trust. Permit me to confirm all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Rima Sherry,
Yes.
Tom Dixon,
Present.
Penny Dye,
Present.
Tom Murphy,
Here.
Meg Browers.
Here.
Great, thank you. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Ellis Ramos,
Here.
Vicky Marsh,
Here.
Tucker Holland.
Here.
Great. Anticipated speakers on the agenda, Caleb Worstham.
Here.
Great. Good afternoon. This is an open meeting of the Affordable Housing Trust being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. The meeting will feature public comment. For this meeting, the Affordable Housing Trust is convening via the video conference via the Zoom app as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note this meeting is being recorded and all attendees are participating via video. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, and take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All materials that have been provided members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda until noted otherwise. We'll turn to the first item on the agenda, but before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business to ensure accurate meeting minutes. We'll introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down a list the line of members, inviting each by name, providing any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Please remember to mute your phone or your computer when you're not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly in a way that helps generate accurate meeting minutes. For any response, please wait until the floor is yielded to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in conversation with other members, please do so through the chair. After members have spoken, the chair will forward public comment to those members of the public that have joined the meeting via Zoom. Members of the public who wish to speak must state their names, be acknowledged, and speak to the chair. All votes will be taken via roll call. With that, we will call the meeting to order and look to item 2 for an approval of the agenda. I have a couple of changes to the agenda before we approve it. Ellis, it sounds like we're going to take the minutes at a future meeting. I do request that we update this list because we've already voted on April 4th, April 7th, April 25th, May 3rd, May 25th. Oh, excuse me, May 25th we held, we didn't vote. June 13th we voted on. And June 20th we voted on. So I think the remaining ones on there are May 25th, May 30, July 25th, August 3, and August 8. So look for a motion to make that change to the agenda and hold it.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. By roll call, Rima Sherry,
Aye.
Tom Dixon,
Aye.
Penny Dye,
Aye.
Tom Murphy,
Aye.
Meg Browers,
Aye.
and Brian Sullivan's an aye. I believe we've also looking to hold over, where is it? Item number 7, proposal from Richmond Company to wait to hear from the finance department on another ongoing negotiation they're having. So we'll hold that for a future meeting. I have a motion and a second on that.
So moved.
Second.
By roll call, Rima Sherry,
Aye.
Tom Dixon,
Aye.
Penny Dye,
Aye.
Meg Browers,
Aye.
Tom Murphy,
Aye.
and Brian Sullivan's an aye. Are there any other changes to the agenda that anyone sees or would like to make? So seeing none, so look for a motion to approve the agenda as we just amended it.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second from Rima. By roll call, Rima Sherry,
Aye.
Tom Dixon,
Aye.
Penny Dye,
Aye.
Meg Browers,
Aye.
Tom Murphy,
Aye.
and Brian Sullivan's an aye. Okay, so that leads us to item 4, public comments. Open the floor to public comments. Any members as a member of the public? Any members of the public? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Item 5, year-round deed restriction action plan discussion. I will note that Attorney Marsh just circulated, as we requested, the home rule petition for Provincetown. It's a great look at a framework that has already been created, and a nice guiding document for our process and progress. I don't know if everyone has had time to look at that, but if there's any questions, Attorney Marsh is here. Seeing none.
Well, hey,
Penny,
sorry, we just got it. I haven't had time to look at it.
no problem.
Okay.
Yeah, we can leave that open to look at and send questions, and it's nice that we have it. Ellis, do you want to update? I think that there is in the works a survey, and then also the communications department for the town is putting that flyer together. We're waiting on.
So the communication department is putting together the flyer and the application and the survey that hopefully will be sent out by the end of the day.
Okay. So how will we approve that before it's sent out, and how will they be sending it out?
So what they're sending out is that document that we created. They just going to make it into a flyer, add a background, add design to it, but it's the exact information that we have approved already and sent to them.
Okay,
And they will, I'm going to send them the Excel sheet that I have with all the members that you guys gave me with all the information, so they can send them that information as well. We're going to get it printed so I can distribute to you guys to give. So when you're talking to people about it, you can give it to them. And also, oh, that's it. Sorry.
will they be sending it to the media outlets?
Yes, they are. They are going to send it to everywhere where they would post. They're going to post on social media. They're going to send it to the media outlets. They're going to send it to everybody on their email list.
Great. Rima?
Yes, to Ellis through you, Brian. I think it'd be a good idea to hold on the survey until we've seen it. And also, I think Judy should take a look at it before it goes out to make sure it's, what she's looking for and what she needs. I don't know if anybody else agrees with me, but I just wanted to put that out.
I have a link to a survey that Heidi sent me. I sent it to Brian, but he said it didn't work. She's gonna send it again for me to send to you guys.
Okay, it didn't work for me either. And send it to Judy, please, too.
She's on vacation until the 11th, but I'll send it.
Oh, okay. That's
Ellis, while you're sending things to Judy, would you also send the home rule petition that Vicky forwarded?
Oh, I forwarded that to her already.
Great,
Great.
thank you. I'm in agreement with Rima's comments that she should have participation in that.
So should
Okay.
we hold on to it until the 11th when she's back from vacation? I'll try to reach out to her before, but she is out of the office until the 11th.
Today's the 5th, that's 6 days. I think we get the flyer circulated as much as possible, get some active dialogue in the community, and then send it based on feedback would be my thought.
Okay.
great.
There's a couple of thumbs up on the screen too. The next meeting regarding the deed restriction program, just so everybody's aware of that. I'm looking for somebody to tell me when it is, because I don't know. Maybe I'm actually looking to answer my own question.
The 19th?
Okay. Thank you, Rima. Is there anything else we wanted to cover in that discussion or action plan? Anybody?
Sorry, I think the meeting is on the 13th and not the on the 12th and not the 19th. For the deed restriction program.
Okay, that's why I asked. Let's see.
Yeah, we do have our next meeting September 19th, but I think we're having a meeting for the deed restriction program on the 12th. So I think
And is that a full trust meeting or is that a work group?
I think that's a trust meeting.
At what time? Just the 13th is not our normal day. That's a Wednesday.
No, it's the 12th.
Well,
Okay.
Yeah, it would be a normal meeting at 12:30. That's what I have on my notes. Sorry.
Okay. So we'll need to update this agenda because it says the next meeting's on the 19th. If we could list out the next 4 meetings when we have the next meeting schedule, so we're able to look in advance. I know that I'm not able to attend the 12th.
Should we just leave it for the 19th then?
Hang on one second. Come to you, Penny.
yeah, just quickly, Brian, is the frequency of meetings primarily because of the year-round deed restriction program, and how long is that expected to go on?
I need the matrix that was posted and proposed. I don't have it. Ellis, by any chance, do you or Tucker, do you have access to the?
Yeah, the
Calendar.
matrix, can you turn your? Thank you. The matrix is gonna change, like Judy, like based on the timing now of this flyer going out, the survey timing just got changed again. The matrix is going to change. So when Judy is scheduled, when she's back from vacation, to look at that and to determine what the dates are. So to Penny's question, once Judy returns, I think we can lay out the schedule, and to the greatest extent possible, the meetings around the year-round deed restriction are intended to overlap with the trust regularly scheduled meetings. That's what we had talked about.
Okay, great. So I'm unclear. When does Judy come back, and should we maintain the meeting for the 12th, or do we have the ability to postpone it?
I wasn't aware there was a meeting on the 12th. So
Okay.
yeah. So
Maybe I wrote the wrong note, sorry.
So-
So just, can somebody just tell us when the next meeting is, please?
scheduled
19th.
for the 19th.
19th. Thank you.
Okay, great. Meg, you had a question?
When's Judy back? Do we know?
11th.
Okay, so I guess my question's just according to the matrix, which I understand will change. The goal is to have all of the outreach and group interviews done by October 1st. So if we don't have another meeting until September 19th, Judy's back the, did you say 16th?
11th is what was said before.
11th, okay. So she's back the 11th. We don't meet again until the 19th. And then we're gonna have all the, I'm just wondering if we do need to meet on the 12th.
So looking at her original schedule, it was September 13th, 14th, and 15th were the group interviews.
Mm-hmm.
Meeting 1, what have we heard? Review consult is listed on her chart as that's October 12th. Housing trust meeting, she's got listed September 5th, October 3rd, October 17th, 19th, 31st. So there is none listed on this schedule in the last email that I saw for the 12th.
Well, I guess what I'm asking is, we're meeting again on the 19th. Maybe we do need to have a deed restriction specific meeting on the 12th to review the survey so we can all have a chance to look at it. Or are we just putting it out there?
Go ahead, Rima.
Yeah, if the surveys, get sent out for comment individually to trust members, and comments are sent back to Ellis to to review with Tucker and Brian. I think that'll work. I don't think we need to have a meeting to talk about it. So we just, I just want to make sure that Judy has a look at it, and, it'd be great if we all have a look at it too. And if we have any concerns, we can send them to the office individually.
I think that makes sense. Tucker, you raised your hand there for a second.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Yeah, so I don't know if there's any confusion about the survey. The survey questions are really the questions that have been part of the document that you all have seen, I think, a few times now, that are intended to be filled out by folks who are interested in being a part of the focus groups. So it's sort of it's more of an application might be a better description of it. And I think you all have seen those several times. I do think it would be good to get that working link from Haley, circulate it, have you all take a final, look, and if you could just email Ellis back like a thumbs up, looks good, or if you find something. But I think it's actually better to have it go out concurrently with the flyer. So if somebody sees the flyer and says, "Hey, I'm interested," there's an immediate way for them to apply, so to speak. If that makes sense.
That does make sense. Thank you, Tucker. I'll come to Shanta for her comments.
That's what I was going to say. That it doesn't make sense to send the flyer and then send the link for the sign up sheet, because it's not a survey. Because and also I worry about delaying it any more than we need to, just because Judy's out, when I would like to think that we've all reviewed the documents that Ellis has been sending around at this point. And if not, highly recommend you do so quickly so that we can get this out, because I just worry that we're running out of time.
Agreed. Okay, so I think we have a plan. We'll get a working link, understand what's on it, provide feedback. Let's make a time certain. Today's Tuesday, assume by 5 o'clock tomorrow that they're going to get us a working link by. And so if you haven't seen comments, Ellis, go ahead.
They're working on it and they're supposed to send it back to me today, by the end of today. So I'll send it to you as soon as I get it.
Great. So then by the end of the day tomorrow, if people can provide comments, then we can get it out after that. Great. Shanta?
Just because I'm going through my survey situation with comms and something I learned, do not respond to the survey when you're reviewing it, because once you get that working link means that the survey is live. So any information you put in there will skew their survey or the sign up sheet, whatever. Just a heads up.
Okay, cool. Thank you. All right. And it seems like we now have a plan. So we've covered the action plan for the deed restriction program. So any more on that? Seeing none, we'll close that. We'll move to a proposal from, forgive me, Caleb, if I get your last name, Worston. Did I get it right?
Yeah.
Great. ADU creation proposal from Caleb Worston. So we'll open to you, Caleb, to present your proposal. I don't know if you want to screen share or not, or if Tucker Ellis.
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in and screen share. I'll start with a quick intro. So I'm from the island, graduated from NHS in 2015, went to Babson on a presidential scholarship, where I did the White House internship in the Senate Page program. Started a small business on Nantucket back in 2014, renting bikes out of the Nantucket Inn and the beachside. After college, led a couple startups, and I was a manager at Super Pedestrian, which is an electric scooter transportation sort of robotics startup in Cambridge. And I moved back this summer, sort of noticed an opportunity for us to add hopefully a lot of affordable housing supply through ADUs, which is, these are accessory dwelling units. In sort of our lingo, these are secondary and tertiary dwellings that, are built on lots with the primary residence. States have taken notice of accessory dwelling units as a solution for their affordable housing crises. So with that, and I also have some real estate experience. I have a company that owns a couple investment properties off island, which I self-manage, and I have a real estate license. Worked at Quick Loans. So I will share my screen and we can get into it.
Caleb, I'm sorry, did the last thing you say, did you say you worked at Quicken Loans?
Yes.
Oh, cool, awesome.
Yep. And yeah, so sort of currently I'm doing consulting, and I work with Housing Nantucket in Toscana on a couple projects. So here's the proposal. In a nutshell, we have an opportunity to expand the housing supply with these ADUs, and if we support the private sector in constructing them, this is an opportunity for us to get additional deed restrictions. So I think this dovetails well with the conversation prior mine about purchasing deed restrictions on island. This sort of hedges the risk of us not having enough interested homeowners. I'll start with this quote by Christopher Hawthorne. He's one of the leaders in Los Angeles leading their housing affordability response. So, he said about ADUs, there's no doubt that ADUs have been a major bright spot in the city's housing policy of late, producing a consistently high volume of new units each year. I'm going to skip actually to the appendix real quick to highlight what other cities and states are doing with ADUs. So Los Angeles now has over 20% of their new housing supply coming from ADUs. New York recently announced an $85 million program to subsidize ADUs up to $125,000 per dwelling. California allocated over $100 million for a similar program. Boston finances ADUs with up to $50,000 loan that requires 0 monthly payment and 0 interest, with the owner repaying that loan on sale or refinance of their property. And Cape Cod 5 has taken interest in the rise of ADUs locally with a special lending program currently at 8.75% interest on 15-year notes with a $250K max. So this is to say that ADUs are across the nation being seen as a pillar of affordable housing responses, and they're having success. They're, as mentioned, 20% of Los Angeles's new housing supply. And the way that I'm thinking about sort of us tackling this is in 2 parts. So the first is putting everything out there for the community and for the Affordable Housing Trust to see. So that is this proposal, the feasibility study. With the follow-on, if this is exciting as other locales are finding, the follow-on being a pilot and then potentially a scalable program to add significantly new housing supply. So for the sake of this conversation, we'll focus on that first piece, the feasibility study. And the way that I'm thinking about this is get a sense of what the package is that homeowners would be dealing with. So are we stick building on island? Are we working with barges, shipping off-island modular units to the island? Toscana is exploring building modular units on island. So I think they would be a great partner in exploring this. So we would want a sense of what the options are and the costs. Is it $650,000? Is it $350,000 to build ADUs? We would also want to work with the planning board and others to get a sense of the full opportunity. How many lots are eligible on the island? How many are on sewer? How many look like they have buildable ground available on their lots given zoning? To then sort of understand if this is something that the Affordable Housing Trust should pursue the pilot project. Is this 500 unit solution or is this a 50 unit solution? We don't know right now. We'd also want to work with partners like Cape Cod 5 and the developers who would ultimately be agitating for this program. to get a sense of what their requirements would be, sort of the distribution of work between the stakeholders. We'd want to talk to the community to understand what homeowners would want to see. You know, could we get 150 new units with a $50,000 loan, a program like Boston has, or do we need a program more like California? And what do we predict the increase in supply will be with those different programs that are being implemented in other areas around the country? And you know, we would also want to understand the legal path that we would take to equating a subsidy or a loan to a deed restriction on the lot. And then finally, we would want to make a recommendation, either positive or negative, for the Affordable Housing Trust's assessment on whether or not a pilot should be pursued afterwards. And you can kind of get an idea of the work that would happen. You know, it being market research, interviews with stakeholders and other experts. One of my personal advisors is Scott Bailey, who recently penned a Boston Globe op-ed on the opportunity ADUs have for the state of Massachusetts. He would be happy to advise on this project. You know, we also want to do site visits for the secondary and tertiary dwellings on the island, and what kind of designs have been successful and what those homeowners have learned from their ownership. Really dig into these programs in other jurisdictions, which ones have worked and which ones haven't, and then do some financial modeling to predict at what allocation would we get what increase in supply. As far as the team, I'm happy to lead this with my outfit, Workston Consulting, and I've approached a couple organizations to partner on the study with. There's some sort of lead time for them to, you know, run it by their boards and things, but there would be a lot of engagement with folks like the planning board, local construction companies, and real estate developers, real estate brokers, affordable housing nonprofits, and then off-island experts. I think this will take 2 months. I was hoping to leverage the insight of the Affordable Housing Trust to sort of provide feedback and steer it in any other direction that the trust finds valuable. And if this is something that's interesting, then I can scope the cost and send that over with any sort of changes to the feasibility study. So yeah, you know, thanks for the time. Would love to be a part of increasing housing supply and solving the affordability crisis here, so more young people can move back to the island. Yeah, happy to take questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Caleb. Appreciate the presentation and you getting involved, volunteering yourself to get involved. So thank you. I'll open the floor to questions on Caleb's experience or the proposal. Rima?
Yeah, are you seeing these through you, Brian, to Caleb, as rental units or ownership units, or both?
These would be long-term rentals for locals in exchange for either a low-cost loan like Boston has, or a grant subsidy like the state of New York or California are doing.
Okay. And would you be looking at inventorying, doing an inventory of existing units that are rented on a year-round basis as part of this?
With the purpose being identifying how many are being used as short-term rental versus guest house versus long-term rental. Would that be the?
I think, yeah. I mean, you know, just so you know where we are, you know.
I think that's a great idea.
But
yeah, I think that it would make sense to have a current snapshot of how second and third dwellings are being used now. And I would imagine a lot of them are being used as guest houses and short-term rentals and sort of not contributing. So it, you know, doing that research might yield a proposal like if you have an existing, similar to the Lease to Locals program that Act Now just launched, if you have an existing unit, maybe there's a subsidy to rent that out to a local.
Great, thank you.
Thanks very much, Penny.
Yeah, two questions, Brian, through you to Caleb. Would this be who would be administering the program is the first question.
Yeah, so the study, I would be producing the study in partnership with everybody. And then the program, I could see a combination of a group like Housing Nantucket. They're currently administering 39 units, and they sort of have the bandwidth, and in my view, that would be part of the sort of feasibility study to see who should be the program administrator. But I think, the town, Housing Nantucket, Habitat for Humanity would be leading contenders.
And then my second question is, would these deed restrictions on these rental properties be in perpetuity?
I think ideally.
Thank you.
Caleb, I would, coming back to Rima's thought, I think that there could be ownership opportunity through the covenant program if someone were creating a secondary ADU. The tertiary, there's not a opportunity at the moment to condo or own separately, but through the covenant program, I would encourage you to add that as a potential sale. Program admin, and I don't know why house moves just jumped into my head, but what opportunity to move houses, or how many houses were demolished in the course of a year, or something like that in your study that could be an interesting point for some of these numbers that you're talking about could be an affordable way to get a unit created if there was a opportunity for it. So I personally think the proposal is pretty exciting. So
thanks. Yeah, I'll defer to Anne actually on that. I know, Anne, are you still on the call? Housing Nantucket has a successful house recycling program. So yeah, I'd be curious if you have any numbers off the top of your head for that.
Okay, if I may here. Is that
please,
okay?
Anne, thank you. Yes.
So Anne Cuspa, Director of Housing Nantucket. So for house recycling, it's a very specific building that we can accept. So we're offered many more buildings than that are appropriate for the program, because we need buildings that don't need to get cut so they can move over the road. I think for the ADUs, it's smaller structures. So I think inherently built into the program, you're going to be able to move them over the road better. So, but if you're asking for, we can certainly help with how many buildings are offered to us, how many buildings we're able to recycle, and that sort of thing, for sure.
Yeah, I'd love to understand, Anne, if you know how many houses were demolished last year, how many were you offered, and how many were effectively moved either by your group or at all?
I think that's more of an HDC question, because we don't get all of the offers. We only get a couple, and they would know based on demo, move off permits, and applications, how many total on island.
Thank you, Anne. Go ahead, Caleb.
Yeah, I was just going to quickly add that sounds like another opportunity to increase the flow of recycled homes with a well-advertised effort to build these ADUs.
Great, thank you, Penny.
Yeah, just quickly, I think it's actually building department, not HDC, that would have all the permits for that stuff. Well, just while I'm talking, one other question through you, Brian, would there be a focus on serving the 80% of AMI specifically?
Surveying in terms of folks that would be renting.
Serving, accommodating.
Serving, supporting.
Thank you.
I think that is a fairly political question that I would, want to understand the different viewpoints on. If that's the priority of the Affordable Housing Trust, then, that definitely could be something incorporated into the feasibility study. So yeah, I guess I would want to understand if this should be focused on creating units for, you know, incomes up to 80% AMI or up to 150% AMI, or, you know, what number makes sense for the program.
Or different levels of subsidy based on the amount of the AMI level, Caleb. So I would challenge you to think about looking at some sort of matrix. If you're willing to accept a 80% AMI level, what would be the level of subsidy versus a 150 versus a 200? Vicky?
So, on that, idea of, you know, the, AMI levels, I just wonder where the funding is anticipated to be coming from, because if the trust is providing the funds, we have to make sure that we're doing it in accordance with, a program that, you know, we can be in compliance with. So I'm just not sure, you know, we need to consider that. And Caleb, I'm not sure where you would get like your initial seed money, so to speak. Would you be coming to the trust or the CPA or both? Do you have, you know, any ideas about that? And the other question that I had, which is a separate question, is size of these units. Are you looking to have, you know, more smaller units that would then be more affordable? Or are you looking for, you know, a more family sized unit? I don't know if you have thought about that at all yet either. So
yeah, I think so. A couple things there. First, in terms of what units will be used, there are a few different avenues that could evolve into. One is, you know, if we have a bunch of homes that are being demolished that could be recycled, that's a great deal, you know, to just focus on first the units that we can save, and then it comes down to cost. If we can get a deal with an off-island modular unit company and it makes sense with the barge logistics, or we can buy, you know, Toscana's units, and sort of that is the best economics for the program, then focusing on perhaps a standard, you know, 1 to 3 design unit makes sense. I would guess that we would want to limit custom building, you know, because the organization that's going to be administering this, that would be, I'll pass over to Penny 1 sec. You know, that'd be a cost to constantly be reviewing new designs. And the question on funding, my intention of proposing this today is to seek funding from the AHT to seed the feasibility study, so that we can understand, you know, sort of what I had mentioned. I sort of funding the pilot program, which will be, you know, a magnitude or more capital, that I would hope that we can get some state, perhaps federal assistance with this program. The AHT, I would think, would also, you know, play a role in the, you know, the Nantucket Affordable Housing program.
Penny?
Yeah, a couple of things, Brian. I'm not prepared to vote on some sort of funding request without having more specifics in front of us.
Yeah, I think Caleb's just looking for a level of interest. Do we want to look at a continued proposal?
Okay,
He doesn't
and
even
then
have any, he doesn't have a funding request today.
Okay, all right. And then I think also the sort of big thing that nobody's talking about, which is underneath all, is the land. It's the land, which is the challenge. It's not necessarily the building. So what do you see, Caleb, through Brian to Caleb, as a source of the land besides the stuff that's already being done here?
Yeah, you know, there's public land and there's private land. And the intention of this program is to encourage private homeowners to use their land for additional housing.
For public good.
Sorry, what was that?
For public good.
Yeah, exactly. And then also, you know, they would have a financial incentive to do that, most likely. You know, these are increasing property values. They can also be rented to family members. Like, you know, myself, my family's been considering building an ADU for me to live in, so I can sort of like have a house on Nantucket. And I think a lot of families are in a similar situation where their, you know, kids are living in New York and Boston, like I was. but that might want to move back to the island. So, you know, I think that will be a contingency of the demand. And, you know, maybe there is some town land that we can sort of include in the proposal. I know there's some land kicking around that, you know, maybe if we make an exciting enough proposal, we can push that land over the finish line to be included.
Where is that?
It just kind of came up in private conversations with folks in town government. So
Okay.
yeah, I don't want to put anything on the record.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair. I'm
Be
constantly
careful.
looking myself, so curious. All right. I digress. Are there other questions for Caleb on the proposal? Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, just a couple quick points. I think some of this is obvious, but I just feel like I want to point it out is that obviously there would be shy list concerns or subsidized housing inventory concerns with any kind of AMI levels. That's something we should keep an eye on. I think that I know Dave isn't here today, and obviously Leslie's not on or whatever, but my guess is that the Plus department or planning board has taken a deep dive into this sometime over the years. And I would like to hear from them what they think of this. Also, whether finance needs to weigh in on this, and if anything that we do needs to go out to procurement, an RFP, or et cetera. And then also just one quick point on recycling houses, as Ann pointed out before. When I was on the board of Habitat for years, we got so many proposals for housing recycle. 1950s cottage in Sconset, and just move it to this land and it will be easy. Well, then you got to get the electrical up to code, and it's so complicated, and scheduling house moves and when, and I just want to point out that, and I think everyone's aware of this, that a lot of this kind of stuff has been talked about over the years. I'm not taking a dim view of ADUs at all, nor Caleb, the work Caleb's put in here, but we also don't want to be reinventing anything that's been covered before.
Thank you, Tom. Go ahead, Caleb.
Yeah, I'll just jump in. I reached out to the planning board and Leslie for this project, and sort of just like a broad summary is they're interested in participating to help determine the total number of eligible lots.
So it sounds like that maybe there's a little bit more evolution of the proposal, looping in planning to getting their feedback and thoughts. It's hard to Penny's point, hard to continue a conversation without any cost associated with it. But the potential of creating more units, your involvement, I think everybody's appreciative and excited about the concept.
Okay, so my takeaway is to price it out, incorporate the feedback, and email the updated proposal to Tucker for a couple weeks review. Is it enough time, given the other folks that Tom mentioned wanting to tie in, like the finance department? Is that enough time for a decision in 2 weeks?
I don't know that we can speak for either of those departments, but I think that that's a reasonable amount of time to put on the calendar, and then if we have feedback, we can either take action or move or punt it until we get feedback.
Okay, great. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Caleb. Okay, with that, we'll close ADU, other business. I think we covered the September 19th meeting well early enough. Board comments. Are there any board comments? Yes, Penny?
Oh, sorry, what happened with the Richmond proposal? Is that on?
So we've delayed that, waiting to hear from finance department on another negotiation that they're having ongoing on another topic.
So we pushed it off.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
That leads us to item 10, executive session. For purpose 6, to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or real value of property where an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of a public body. Looking for a motion to adjourn this meeting, not to return to open meeting.
So moved.
Or that. I think that was moved by Penny. Is there a second?
I think it was Rena.
Second, it was me,
Oh,
Chantal.
thank you, Chantal. And so Penny, you seconded?
Sure.
Okay, great. By roll call, Reba Sherry,
Aye.
Tom Dixon,
Aye.
Penny Dye,
Aye.
Meg Bowers,
Aye.
Chantal Murphy,
Aye.
and Brian Sullivan's an aye. So we'll leave here and jump to the other meeting.